I am super excited because the Wicked movie is finally out. My most anticipated movie of the year, based on my favorite musical. It feels so surreal that this finally exists. This fills me with so much joy that there is absolutely nothing that can possibly sour my good mood. You just had to remind me, huh? Let's worry about that in 2 months. So Wicked is one of the most popular Broadway musicals of all time. There's no denying that it has had such an impact on many people. The songs are very memorable, it has had very strong talented actors and singers, and it was nominated for multiple Tonys, including Best Musical, but it lost to Avenue Q. For a long time, a movie adaptation was being talked about, but it kept going through production problems that would keep getting it pushed back, even having a change of directors, with John M. Chu eventually being given the task. He's known for directing some pretty solid films like In the Heights and... Okay, I guess that's his only good one. At least it was his only good one, because now we have Wicked, a fantastic film that nearly lives up to the musical it's adapted from. If you don't know what the plot of Wicked is, it tells the story of the witch from the Wizard of Oz, Elphaba, and it gives us her perspective where she goes through the struggles of being an outcast due to the color of her skin, and she meets Glinda, who used to go by Galinda, and they become friends. As stated, it is my favorite stage musical. It's also the first musical I ever watched on Broadway in New York, also currently the only one since I haven't gone back to New York in so long. So I have a strong attachment to the show, and I kinda had worries regarding the movie. Obviously, when bringing a stage production to the big screen, they're gonna make some changes, but as long as those changes are good, there's no problem. I'm not gonna be one of those people who gets upset over tiny things like, why isn't Glinda wearing a yellow dress in the Emerald City? Those are just minor observations that have no effect on the quality of the film. With that being said, everyone involved really went out of their way to make this feel like an actual cinematic experience. It seems like an easy thing to screw up, but they made it work really well, taking a lot of creative approaches, things of which can't really be done convincingly on stage. I've watched this movie 4 times so far, and I continue to find some interesting details. This is only part 1 of a 2-part story, with this being the first act of the musical. Like everyone else, I was a little worried about this decision, even more worried when I saw that it's 2.5 hours, which is around the length of the entire musical. Like, what could they possibly be adding to make it that long? Honestly, this actually needed to be as long as it was. It keeps the essential scenes from the stage production while adding in more depth to further flesh it all out. For example, the stage show goes from Elphaba happily singing about getting a chance to meet the wizard straight to a song about Galinda and Elphaba expressing how much they hate each other. That felt like an awkward transition, but here, they add a scene in between to further build up their disdain for one another and perfectly sets up their dynamic, showing how different their personalities are from each other. There is never a dull moment, every little scene has a purpose, and it never wastes time. I'm fascinated by how they were able to make this work, and a lot of it is due to how well the actors make the characters so likable. Cynthia Erivo is a phenomenal talent, and she shines in all of her scenes. Throughout the film, we see Elphaba struggling with her insecurities, where no one accepts her due to her appearance, an excellent handling of racial discrimination that is still relevant to this day, and one that at least 76 million Americans need to get through their heads. Cynthia plays the role incredibly well, where we get to care a lot about Elphaba. Her calm approach in portraying her innocent holds a lot of weight, breathing new life into the character, and I love that we get a better look at Elphaba's past to expand on her arc and her desire to help the animals. As for Ariana Grande, I'll admit her performance didn't quite work for me when I first watched the movie. On my rewatches though, she started to grow on me to the point where I can say it is a good performance. I still wouldn't say great though. Where she really shines is the beginning and ending scenes with her subtle yet effective show of emotions. Most of the time though, she kind of feels flat. I appreciate the actors not going for an overacting performance, which works on stage but not always for movies, but I feel like Ariana is doing a little too much underacting, which doesn't really match some of her character's more humorous moments, but she still gets some good laughs, and she's come a long way since her Nickelodeon days. I also like Glinda's progression from being mean girl to being more kind. It's a natural progression that's handled very well, given how amazing the chemistry is between the two leads. They play off of each other brilliantly, like they are actually enemies who become friends. And with how much Elphaba has grown to accept who she is and her powers, and with Glinda learning about caring for others, it shows how much each of them have changed each other for— Whoa! I am jumping ahead of myself there. But the two main actresses aren't the only ones who give top-notch performances. There's also Marissa Bode, who plays Elphaba's sister Nessa, and there's also Ethan Slater, who you may know for his role as SpongeBob on Broadway. He plays Bach, and he's a lot of fun, as well as Jonathan Bailey as Fiyero. He really owns the role. Peter Dinklage as Dr. Dilliman, the GOAT, is just amazing. His voice work is outstanding. Then there's Michelle Yeoh and Jeff Goldblum. They're definitely there. But this movie wouldn't be what it is if it weren't for how well directed it is. Jon Ju gives a clear vision on what he wanted for this story to be given the adaptation that it needed, leading to tons of meaningful moments of character building and some clever moments of foreshadowing, as well as the most emotional scene from any movie this year. There's also a lot of physical sets, which I found very impressive. If everything had been digitally added, it would have really taken us out of the experience. And they play around with these sets a lot, making good use of them rather than just using them as a backdrop. The musical numbers are the real star of the film. Between this and In the Heights, Jon Chu definitely knows how to direct very fun musical numbers. The cinematography is stunning and the choreography is super energetic. Excellent work by Christopher Scott, the same choreographer as Teen Beach Movie. I also like a lot of the updates made to the instrumentation and vocalization to make the songs sound more grand. There's a lot of amazing voices. They even did the singing live. Cynthia's vocals during The Wizard and I gave me chills, and Ariana's version of Popular is fun as well. Also, I can't believe the movie actually got me to like I'm Not That Girl. That was my least favorite song from the stage musical. Most of my issues with the film are nitpicks at best, and I'm not going to waste time listing them all. I could go on a rant about how one of the lyrics of Dance Through Life doesn't make sense in the movie's context, but I'm not going to do that. However, a big issue I have is that it's not very vibrant. I mean, they had a production crew go through the effort of designing these giant colorful sets, so we should really get to see them pop. But the color grading doesn't do them justice. And no, I don't agree with Jon Chu's explanation for it, because being transported into this fictional world should leave us with the feeling of, wow. I do like how much detail there is, but it's sometimes visually bland. I'm also not a fan of the CGI. Not the fact that there is CGI, since that's unavoidable, but it doesn't look very great compared to the physical stuff. And yeah, I'm not sure what they were going for with the lighting during the library scene in Dancing Through Life. It takes away from the incredible staging and choreography, and it makes it hard to see the characters' faces sometimes. If they were trying to do something creative here, it wasn't executed properly. But like I said, I don't have many problems with the film overall. I was constantly in awe of how well the creative decisions worked in its favor despite being an extended version of the first act. And I love how strong the ending is. Mouth dropped after defying gravity, getting us excited for part 2, which may not be as good as the first part if the stage show is anything to go by, but I'm sure it will still be very exciting. Wicked Part 1 is indeed an amazing film that stays true to the source material while making it feel fresh in a way that gives it its own personality. With how many years it took for this thing to come out, I'm glad it ended up being a big hit. Part 2 releases next year and I can't wait to see how it turns out. Part 1 is a big recommendation from me, an amazing adaptation to a beloved classic and a wickedly good time. Wait, was there another musical film that came out in November? Oh. Since I don't feel like making a video dedicated to it, I'll just say it here. Moana 2 is one of the biggest wastes of time I have seen in recent years. It is a pathetic excuse for a sequel that has no purpose outside of making a quick buck. The story is generic and horrendously paced with some of the most annoying characters and forgettable songs. The animation is beautiful, but even that is a significant downgrade. It's really easy to tell that it was originally meant to be a TV series. It probably would have been serviceable if it had stayed that way, but they obviously needed another success after their last couple of films didn't do that well. And Moana is their most popular film to stream. So here we have Moana 2, a lazily put together film that is no better than most of the direct-to-DVD sequels that Disney released in the 2000s. It is astounding to me how desperate this feels, and the worst part is, it's working out for them very well. But a movie being financially successful doesn't mean it's good. Congrats, Joker 2, you're no longer the worst musical of the year. I would also rather watch Madam Web because it at least felt like a movie. Same goes for The Mousetrap. Actually, I wouldn't go that far. The Mousetrap is still way worse. Anyway, Wicked is great. Go see that. Moana 2 sucks. Don't see that. Video is over. Bye.